Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this news. Gun violence is surging in cities and hitting communities of color the hardest. Communities of color. Seriously, I hate the usage of this. It reminds me of the 60s with the colored people. No name. Community have endured the weight of the Wuhan virus and the recession of social unrest. They are also bearing the brunt of surge in gun violence. Social unrest. I wonder why. Chicago, for many major U.S. cities, this year has marked by bullets and bloodshed. Over 1,500 people have been shot in Chicago, almost 900 in Philadelphia, and more than 500 in New York City so far in 2020. All up significantly since same time last year. 1,018 in Chicago, 701 in Philadelphia, and 355 in New York. Well, considering where I live, these numbers are baby numbers. They're just tiny little numbers. Considering where I live, these numbers here, it's what you expect, in a month? Or less? The surge shooting has been particularly painful for communities of color, which have disproportionately endured the weight of the Wuhan virus crisis. The economic recession caused by the excessive use of restrictions on the economy due to the Wuhan virus, and social unrest following the death of George Floyd in the police custody of Minneapolis in May. Well, this is entirely your doing, especially from the Chicago mayor, or the mayor of most democratic cities. That's what happens when you actually support a terrorist movement or a movement that is hell-bent on destroying the entire city and doesn't care if they even attack businesses owned by black people. In New York City, after the number of shooting victims more than doubled from June 2019 to this June, every person has been shot this July, nearly 100 in total, has been a member of the minority community, according to the police department. And in June, 97% of the shooting victims were minorities, the department said. I wonder why. Isn't it because you people I don't know. I don't know. What could possibly be? Let's rationalize this. What could possibly be causing this? Is it because the police got defunded or they want to ban the police? No. It couldn't possibly be this. It could not possibly be that reason. No, it cannot. It must be white supremacist, racism. It must be that. There is no other way. It has to be that one. It cannot be the reason of the police being defunded. In Chicago, where minority communities have long struggled with deadly gun violence, shootings have increased 76% from the same time last year, with nearly all the bloodshed concentrated in cities predominantly black and brown communities on the south and west side. Among the victims was a 7-year-old girl, Natalia Wallace, who was fatally shot at a family gathering over the 4th of July weekend on the west side. This is what Terry Crews was saying. It seems that the BLM organization only cares about certain black people, certain blacks' lives. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about if it's a girl getting shot by a black guy. They don't care about the violence happening black on black crime. They don't care. They don't care at all. They only care if it's a white police officer killing a black thug. That's all they care about. And this is why I'm always quote and admire Terry Crews. He was absolutely correct. You shouldn't create a movement of supremacy or hate to combat racism. And this is the result. While a rise in shootings is common during warm months, I kind of understand why people get out more often. This year has been much more complex, said Christopher Herman, a former crime analyst supervisor in the NYPD and professor of John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York. There's a multiplication factors happening right now. Not only is it summertime violence, But there is the Wuhan virus, police protests, and job loss. Yeah, I wonder why. Listen, all of those factors are going to exacerbate violence, especially in communities that were already vulnerable. Predominantly black neighborhoods in the recent decades have averaged 5 times as many violent crimes as predominantly white communities, according to a 2016 study by the US Department of Housing and Urban Development. 1353. No wonder it's a meme. These communities already facing structural racism and barriers to opportunities are now dealing with the huge added causes of stress. Daniel Webster, director of Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Policy and Research, said, people who get involved in violence, many of them are financially insecure, housing insecure, food insecure. Their whole life is insecure, he said. Yeah. And what do you want to do with them? Well, you obviously want to make them unsafe too by taking the police away, or the police actually jailing the people that will threaten these people. In Louisville, as protests persist over the death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot in her home by Louisville Metro Police Department officers in March, there has been a doubling of non-fatal shootings compared to the same time last year, and a 40% increase in gun deaths. From January to May this year, almost 75% of homicide victims were black, according to the Louisville Police Department. I wonder why. What is causing this? Don't you think it might be gang violence? You know, black on black crime. Don't you think it could be that the problem and not the police itself? And by defunding them, the police, don't you think that number will increase? We can always point out Chaz. Remember, Chaz wasn't just some nice summer day out or happy hippies on drums or anything. No, it was one of the most violent places in the world by population level. In Philadelphia, more than 30 people were shot over the 4th of July weekend, and 23 were shot within a 24-hour period. Those are peanut numbers compared to the numbers I get where I live. The city has seen a nearly 30% jump in homicides from the same time in 2019. Well, Al-Qayyum, an anti-violence advocate in the city, said job loss and the lack of opportunity before the pandemic had left minority communities particularly vulnerable this summer. Well, before the pandemic, the job rate was amazing, was through the roof. Trump did an excellent job in giving jobs to the minorities. But that kind of pressure consistently on the community without any sign of changing, I really believe is helping drive the violence we are seeing right now, he told Philadelphia Inquirer. Okay, that's a lot of stuff that doesn't matter much, but I'll go through it. Ronnie Dunn, a professor of urban policy at Cleveland State University, called the surge in bloodshed a perfect storm of confluence of events that expose all societal inequities that exist. That's also once again caused by you defunding the police. The black community lives in a state of trauma when you look at all the maladies that adversely impact them. That's also caused by the lack of father figures in the family, like a structural nuclear family. That's what is happening as well. It's exacerbating the problem. They already have some of those problems, but if you have a family that's completely broken without the child that have a mother or a father figure to look up to, it's going to lead to this. These communities are the most vulnerable in our society, so a lot of these social and societal ills are going to manifest there earlier and more prominently. Atlanta had a 20% spike in shootings from the same time in 2019, with one of the youngest victims being an 8-year-old girl, Sequoia Turner, who was shot while riding in a car with her mother over 4th of July weekend. The violence comes amid an unrest from the police killing of Rayshad Brooks, a black man who was shot by a white officer in Wendy's parking lot on June 12th. This is really, really bad writing, NBC. We all know why. he was shot. He stole a taser from the police officer who threatened the police officers. Imagine if Rayshard Brooks actually incapacitated the police officers and stole their gun. What would you say then? This is really bad writing, and as time goes on, people will start forgetting who these people are or what caused them. And then whatever these activist journalists write will become fact. This is bad, really, really bad. Alethea Carter, 65, who has lived in Atlanta, Edgewood neighborhood all of her life, has been left shaking by the recent spate of violence. If they don't kill us, she told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, we are going to kill one another. It's sad. Floyd's death has stoked a national reckoning about policing tactics and fueled calls to defund the police and reroute funds to community and social wellness causes. And this is what is going to get even worse. It's going to cause these problems to spike and get even worse. Because of police mistrust, Webster said people may be less inclined to call 911 if they see a crime occurring. In worst cases, officers themselves could step back and be less proactive as they face public backlash, he said. It's true. This is absolutely true. Because now police officers are going to think twice, 3 times before they act, and that will put the life of everyone involved, including the criminal, in danger. This is going to get worse before it gets better. And this is the proof and part of the reason why. One thing that's been observed in a number of cities after there is a very high-profile incident of police abuse, there is a fairly substantial uprising in response to that, where you commonly do see increases in violence in communities that are most often plagued by this problem, Webster said. As shootings swell across the country, addressing the issue requires action on several fronts, including a federal response, Webster added. Communities are desperate for resources, particularly at this time as it goes beyond what a city can do. This is really a national public policy issue, he said. People have to ask themselves how they can help the most vulnerable affected by the pandemic and economic impact of it. Well, by beginning on this, not defund the police. Another fundamental piece of solution will also be confronting the issues surrounding policing. He said that to reduce this violence, we are going to have to come up with policing models and public safety models that extend beyond police. Beyond police, these communities feel invested in and trust. Like, sit beyond police, okay. Despite this uncertainty and unrest across the country, there are ways to curb the desperation that drives a lot of the violence, Webster said, and help bring opportunities and hope to communities of... We have a lot of stressed out people living on the edge that are not having a great deal of faith that the government has got their back, Webster said. Well, the federal government got their back. Trump got their back, has their back, and we always have their back. The problem is, and what happens is with the democratic cities and governors, where they don't really care. They want to weaponize the hate and racism on that violence to their benefit. They want to take down Trump and they want to cause the greatest damage and then point and say, look, this is Trump's fault. This is why you shouldn't vote for him. This is what they want to do. The biggest problem are within the Democrats. Are within these cities, these places. Probably the best answer to that right now. I know it's not the perfect solution. I know it's not the be-all end-all solution of everything, but it's the best solution you currently have available, and it's voting Republican. That's the only way out that I see. You could probably vote a third party if they offer a better proposition or they have good numbers that they can topple whatever crappy Democrat leader they have. For instance, Seattle, the mayor in there only acted after they went after her, after they went to her home and protested. Otherwise, she wouldn't even have cared. Well, I'm gonna end it for now. So, see you on the next episode. Good night.